Hi everyone. Thanks for being early. Good afternoon. We will just be waiting for more people before we officially commence around 4 o'clock. So right now, just feel free to make yourself comfortable. It's a Friday, Friday evening. So once again, we do this every last Friday of every last month. So every last Friday of the month, we actually have different topics about wellness related, psychology related, counseling related stuff, and we do this. So welcome once again. We will officially commence at 4 o'clock. We will just wait for more people to come, and then we'll have a great time of learning by our special speaker today. So I'll introduce him shortly. But before that, yeah, just enjoy the time here. Once again, thanks everyone for being early. It's 3:59. We will commence soon, exactly at 4 o'clock. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Shanti. Good evening, Leon. Good afternoon, Maria.
Good evening.
Wow, we have people all the way from the Philippines. We have people from different nations. Thank you for joining once again. Good evening, Fan. All right, it is 4 o'clock. What we will be doing is that today we have a special speaker. His name is Mr. Yeo Kok Hwa. He is, of course, going to be talking about workplace psychology in specific, right? The topic about, is it okay to raise my hand and speak up? Once again, we want to welcome him, and we want to have a great time of learning together, and eventually keep your questions to yourself. We have a special Q&A segment whereby Kok Hwa will be actually addressing the questions to his best ability, and that will most likely be around 4:40 p.m. So sit back, enjoy the time, and let Kok Hwa actually take over. All right, so Kok Hwa, all to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Can you guys hear me okay? Just give me a thumbs up. Cool. All right. Now, I just want to give myself a brief introduction about myself. My name is Yeo Kok Hwa. I'm a trained in organizational psychologist and also a professional counselor, also a certified clinical Christian counselor myself. I give organizational behavioral and psychological talk. This is what I'm doing at this moment. And also dealing with giving personal psychological counselings to individual as well as executive in the organizations. And on top of that, also I'm a business clinic mentoring. I'm a certified business clinic mentoring. I give business leaders and executive business mentoring or mentorship, as well as guidance. Okay, without further ado, I just want to go straight into the learning objective for today. Now, these are the learning objective for today. Am I okay to raise my hand and speak out? We're going to look at the reason why we are not raising our hand to speak up. Now, when it comes in terms of psychological safety, we will never go away with employee engagement. So I got to give you a little bit of statistics about this engagement. And various organizations, it's a brief introduction to organization psychologists, psychological safety, where the origin come from. Now, the subsequent sessions about avoidance and hunger. Now, this is a session that I really want you guys to give full attention to, is where hopefully some of you will take some of this home, because this is really the foundations of human behavior, of things that we are trying to avoid in life, also of things that we are longing for in life, from the moments of our birth until the last seconds of our life when our brain switch off the light. So something that is important to help people to move forward, and most importantly, helping you to understand your behavior and help you to move forward as well. Now, towards the last two part of it will be some suggestions of how to foster psychological safety in organizations. Just some suggestions. There are many ways of doing it. Also, fostering psychological safety in virtual workplace, of which it is still about 30% of employees are working from home 50% of the time. So I hope that will help you to have some understanding about psychological safety in organizations. So, okay. Am I okay to raise my hand and speak up? What is the reason why we are not raising our hand and speak up? Now, before I take you guys to tour the office and some of the meetings, I just want to ask the first question. Do you feel enthusiastic and comfortable speaking out and taking risks at work at any time you wish to? Now, look at this question and have a quick think about it. You may or may not giving yourself an answer for that. If you give yourself an immediate answer for that, park that at the back of your mind. And I will take you a tour to some of the meetings or offices and to find out why people are not raising their hand and speak up. When employees fear rejection and that their thoughts and ideas are not valid, they keep their mouth shut. Simply bite your time during the meeting despite of having something to say. And let's walk into the office and where people biting their tongues. I'll never be sure what I have to say will be well received in this meeting. Most of the people in my teams are more likely to hold up than speak up during the most important conversation or in the meeting. The team members progressively become quieter or sharing fewer ideas as time goes by. So it's just strange. Only a handful of people are sitting on the top of the table, they're sitting, but the rest of team members are sort of sitting further away and looking down on a piece of paper, do not say much. The morale is persistently low or it is getting low over the time. Now, feedback I receive, direct communications, such as anything to ask, anything you say, anything you want to suggest, it seems to be, no, everything is fine. However, there's so many gossips, there's so many complaints after the meeting. Team members really, or if ever, challenge the decision or decision-making process during the meeting. It seems to be that the one to drive the meeting, say, oh, do all the talking, nobody say anything or come up and suggest something. Leader typically dominating the conversation during the meeting and suggestion-making process as well as feedback session. Team member, including the leaders, rarely, if ever, a meeting witnesses or mistake. It tends to be a lot of hindsight bias of, yeah, you should not have done that, or you will have do this better, or this thing will not be happen. It seems everything to do with everyone know what to do, except you do not know what to do. You do not know what to do. You're overwhelmed with your workload, yet you don't feel comfortable asking for help. You simply push towards the end and work overtime towards it. Hopefully you will make it on time for the project submission. You don't have confidence to say, hang on, I need help. Appreciation and feedback are not scheduled. It's simply ad hoc. And there's always a fear of, hey, can you come to my room? And there's always a fear that the negative outcome will happen. Going to a room, seeing a manager, the negative consequence will happen. Concern and requests for help or ideas or disappointment are listened to by the leader around the table. Yet again, nothing gets done. It's always repeating the same thing again and again. It's repeating the same question again. Nothing ever get done. Not all the team members are included. That's included me as well. Only need to know basic. Practically, hang on, you don't need to know. You just do my job. You just do your job. Don't need to know. In the important conversation itself. And of the people around the tables, only a handful of them know what's going on. The rest of the team member simply playing guessing game and simply making an assumption or simply gossiping the outcome. And you don't feel that your manager is on your side, right? And don't even know where you stand with him. Am I okay with him? Is he happy with my performance? Or is there anything that he want to say to me? Or is there anything that he hidden from me? Conversations are focusing mainly on positive things are done well. Okay, it's good, go move ahead. There's nothing to talk about learning from mistake, learning from mistake or growth opportunity for me or for any team member as well. And everyone feel represented. No, not everyone feel represented in the senior leadership. Practically everything that we talk about will be at this floor. Nothing penetrates through the floor above. The senior leaders don't seem to know what is going on and don't even know that you are crying in your heart. The worst thing is this: a psychological unsafe workplace tends to bury all the good ideas. Nothing gets shared, and that is a resource wastage. Now, come to the end of the office tour. I'm going to ask you a question again. Do you feel enthusiastic, comfortable speaking out, or taking risks at work where you are now? Or on the opposite side, in fact, some of the above tongue-biting situations are happening. Sometimes, if not most of the times, in my organizations. Do you know that psychological safety is not something that very new? And that has started researchers 60 years, more than 60 years ago. Until today, it is still a white elephant in many, many offices. In many, many offices. Now, taking that to the back of mind, I'm going to tell you something about engagement, employee engagement. We start with employee disengagement. May or may not have direct impact to this psychological safety, but this engagement tell you the picture of what is going on in the organizations. These are a common saying: living for the weekend, I'm just waiting for the weekend to come so that I can enjoy my weekend, or watching for the time to take. Come to 5:30, put a pen down and walk out to the office. Work is just for the paycheck. Honestly, work is just for a paycheck. Nothing enjoyable at all. Or a common statement: work sucks. The work is suck. Now, for the last two are the ones that I heard the most. I only work for the week. I only work for the payment. I only work for the salary. Nothing else. Nothing to look forward to. And the work is really sucks. I don't feel like going to work every morning. Now, these are common saying in the organization. What are the underlying reasons? Employee disengagement. It costs about 450 to 550 billion US dollars a year due to resource wastage, such as absentees and turnout, unnecessary mistake, also profitability loss, productivity loss. These are on the financial side. 71% executives say that employee engagement is critical, and 63% say that the companies are struggling to retain employee. And this is the real number. 85% employee are disengaged at work. There are two parts of 85%, add together 85%. 85%. And 30% of employees are full-time job seeker. They are doing a job, but they're looking for a job every single day. And 81% of employees will leave their unsafe workplace, not even due to money, not even someone to pay more. I just want to go. The place is really unsafe. It's a toxic, not only to me, mentally, but also to physical conditions. So because mentals are affecting the physical condition. And 74% of Generation X employee will take a pay cut for the ideal position. A place that where they work, they have opportunities to progress and to develop. And this is all Generation Z populations because my son is at this generation. And 41% employee claim that career advancement is critical. Career advancement is critical. 91% employees say that leadership a lack of communication skill, a critical skill that all leaders must have. All leaders must have. And all the inclusive, one of the 3C of the inclusive is about communication. It's about a communication. 30% employee just don't trust the employer. No way I trust him. And just the persons that never walk the talk. 69% employees say that I would have worked harder if I better appreciated for the things I put in, for the efforts I put into a job. If I'm better appreciated, I will even work harder. And 84% employees say that recognition will go above and beyond higher engagement. Important, give the credit where the credit is due. And there's so many here say that I come from my friends, from people that I come from my friends, from people I deal with in terms of workplace psychologists. They say that we do all the shit and leader got all the credit. And these are common segments on that one. There's no reasons to hold them back, to motivate them to work harder, to engage in their job. It's only 19% employee live for a higher paycheck, only 19%. The rest of the thing is all about work environment, work opportunity, and work safety. It's all about that. Now, therefore, you want to support a high-performance team, psychological safe environment is very, very critical. It's very critical. Now, I'm going to move into psychological safety. Now, psychological safety is actually coined by this Professor Amy Emerson, and she is a Harvard Business School professor. She is also a PhD in organizational behavior. And this is the terminology of what to say. The concept of that is, now psychological safety is about the perception of the consequence, the outcome of your thoughts, of taking interpersonal risk, or which interpersonal one-to-one or one to a group of people in a context. It can be a workplace, it can be a communities, a services, or you can be even at home. Psychological safety play at home as well. Okay, now perception. Can some of you just mute because I'm hearing my echo at the moment? Okay, good. Now, perceptions of consequence tends to be negative, and that is part of function of the brain, as well as through the observations on the floor, because you actually observe things happening and the outcome were negative, and your brain simply registered the negative event and telling to you that, look, that is unsafe. That is unsafe, right? Now, before I move into a bit more on the psychological safety, I'm going to touch on a bit of benefit for psychological safety. Just a very quick rundown. It enhances the engagement, of course, reduce the employee turnover and reduce the absentees by 41% and increase profitability by 21%, and also boost the team performance and productivities, continuous learning and learning from lesson. You have a courage to learn from lesson and inspire creativities, ideas, increase problem solving, also foster inclusive and diverse culture workplace. And that's how confidence you are okay to be who you are, you're okay to be different, you're okay to sharing different opinion. And of course, with that kind of environment, it will improve the overall well-being of the human beings, not only the mental, the emotional, it's also the physical plus the behavior in the organization itself, and lower a chance of risky mistake for the fact that your mind is much alert when your environment is good, and the support is always there, and the willingness to open up for suggestions to help you to walk through some of risky mistakes you may potentially make. And of course, it's stronger the sense of belonging, where I'm proud to be part of a team, where I'm proud to be in this organization. And these are some of very strong benefits that you can benefit from workplace, psychological safety at the workplace. Okay, now this is really a part one that I just been through very quickly. I just want to see if you're okay with this part one, and also I can move on with the part two. Part two is really the part that I want all of you to give attention to, because this is really some things that I want you guys to take away with. And it has something to do with the behavior, the human behavior that will help you to move forward to where you are when you get stuck. And this is very important information. This is the part that I really need to have full attention for 15 minutes of the 2 slides. Okay, now if I'm okay to move away, please type in 0 in the chat box so that I know that you are engaged and I can move on with part 2 of the session. Thank you so much on that one. Thank you for your attention. For now, I'm going to move into part 2. And this is a part that I spent time to look at it. And also, just for your information, this is the part that actually as a foundations for the 3 foundations I use in terms of people development, in terms of leadership development, build a lot to do with these 3 part of the human behavior. This is just one of them. Now, psychological safety, avoidance, and hunger. Psychological safety is about feeling safe enough for you to bring in the problem, the tough issue that you may experience in the workplace, or share some idea. Oh, I have this idea, I can talk about it without being fearful. Or even oh shit, I have a problem now, I need help. I can raise an, excuse me, I need help. Can anyone help me? I can feel comfort to ask for help, and also celebrate the diversity, the differences in opinion. We can debate about things that are ongoing on the floor without getting offended. We can open up for asking for feedback without getting offended as well. Now, workplace silence seems to be saying, oh, no, it's something to do with the personality. That guy is introvert, you don't talk a lot. And oh, no, the guy talk a lot more. Yeah, because he's extrovert, right? That's why he's a lot, his voice out a lot more, he talk a lot more. It may not have necessarily have anything to do with personality. It has something to do with fear of rejection. Your thoughts and your ideas are not being valued or validated when you bring it up. In such a way that my brain say, hang on, just step back and avoid the kind of threatening situation. And therefore, we keep our mouth shut because you do not want to be in the middle of the firing range, everybody firing at you. And very, very importantly, a shared belief that when I express my ideas, concern, even making mistake, or I bring the authentic selves to the workplace itself, I will not met with punishment, rejection, despise on, or laugh at, or being judged, or being blamed on that you are not intelligent, or consider you are not, whatever they say, this doesn't make sense, or consider whatever you raise up to the problem is not really that important, or consider that you have abilities to do your job. And that kind of threatening situation, I do not want to be in there if that happens to me. If that happens to me, first thing my brain would consider, that is a threat that I do not want to go into. What happened to that? Because our brains are wired to move away automatically from potential threats and move it as much as possible towards the reward. Now, our brain scan across the floor with the people around us every 200 to 250 milliseconds for potential threat and potential reward. And reward is only 1/5 of the scanning they pick it up. But most of the things the brain pick up are the potential threat, because it's a function of the brain that, look, I want to make sure that you are safe. So don't get into the kind of threatening situation that make you feel uncomfortable, make you feel threatened, and make you feel stressful. Therefore, avoid that situation. That's what the brain do. Now, but however, on the other side of my brain saying that I need rewards. I need reward. I'm hunger for rewards. What are the rewards the brains are hunger for, or we are hunger for? From the moments that we came to the world, and from the first cries that we asked for milk until the last second of our life, when our brain switch off the light, we are hunger for these 3 basic needs in life. These are 3 things that we hunger for. The contents of these 3 things will change over time, subject to where you are in the stage of your life. But the context is always that I need these 3 things. I need 3 things. At any different stage of your life, you're longing for this. Even go down to a large chapter of your life, you're still looking for these three things. These basic needs we're talking about. Now, safety is about who you are, who you perceive yourselves to be, or who are you trying to uphold as a person, a manager, an engineer, or a director, or anyone, or even a father, even a husband, that you want to uphold. You want to be able to manage the image and control the situation around you to uphold and protect the image of who you are. That is safety and control. Now, metallings are things that are important in life. Now, obviously, things are important in life. That many of them, your career, your professional goal, and also you're able to give. Now, giving is a reward to the brain. Right? I'm able to contribute my abilities, my talents to this organization, and able to help the organizations to fulfill whatever is the business objective they have. And that is the giving that I want to have. That's the rewards that I'm trying to look for. Right? This is part of the important things that I'm trying to achieve in life. With all these achievements, so you lean towards belonging. I'm expecting myself to be acceptable in this organization or in this community or even at home itself. Now, you got all the affirmation and recognitions for what you have done, for what you have achieved. And these are things that you're longing for. You want the people say, oh, well done, Mike. Really good to have you in my team. Or your boss say, look, well done, Mike. And I'm looking forward to give you a promotion. All these are recognitions of your importance, of your ability, your talents, and also of who you are, that you uphold well. Now, these are three basic needs that we are hunger for every single day of our life. Again, I say the context will change from the phases of your life, but the context is always there. You're looking for that, whether you like it or not. Now we have an issue here. I need to go to office to fulfill these three basic needs in order for me to get the rewards. But the place I'm going into is full of stress. It's full of unsafe. It really toxic. It affects me not only mentally, it affects me physically as well. And I really struggle to get up in the morning and struggle to get up to go to work. And I also force myself to go to work because I have no choice. Simply have to go to work because I need to bring back the bread and butter on the table for my family. That's for my generation. Right? That is something that we are struggling to. Many of us are struggling to. Now, before I move in there, I want to highlight certain things about these three basic needs that we are trying to fulfill and use that to improve the engagement, improve this employee engagement, so that I can correlate to these three basic needs that we are struggling, we are hunger for, with what we can do in terms of employee engagement, in terms of psychological safety in the office. Some suggestions for you to consider, right? And these are some of the steps that you may think of. Make your organization value clear and defined, not to only a group of people, but to everyone the best you can, because you simply invite them that you are part of the team. You are involved to achieve this value. Define that to everybody and share the purpose. Not only sharing a purpose of this is a business objective, this is a business a purpose, this is a policy of a company. No, only coming down to the level of, look, I know what you're aiming at. What can I do to help you to get there? I'm giving you the boundaries to work with, and I give you the support to get to where you are, because you are the important employees in my organization. It simply invite the belonging into the organization. Safe work environments and well-being. It covers the whole spectrum of human being: physical, psychological, and emotional safety. Now, in the work environment itself, physical safety is the first thing, right? If the place is unsafe, things are hanging over the head and it's almost to fall off and going to land on my head, and the environment is really not healthy, and the temperature is high and stuff like that. If you can make adjustment to that and give them the comfort and safe environment to work, that go a big way in terms of psychological safety in the organization. Now, psychological and emotional safety that come about overlapping one another. Now, we cover these three basic needs. So I just run through to you and you see whether it cover or not. First one, you may talking about the importance of the person who thinks that he is among the people. That is about safety. Talking about the abilities to predict what is the outcome of the future. That is about things that we feel important. That's about things of ability. Then think about, am I be able to manage the situations, control the project well? There's something to do with safety and control. Am I safe enough to reach out to a person for help, or am I safe enough to be who I am in the organization? There's something to do with belonging. Or is it fair in terms of my career opportunity? Is it fair in terms of my training development? Is it fair? It's about my my salary skill. All these are part of the important things that link into these three basic needs that we are hunger for every single days of our professional life. Recognizing the performing employees and rewards them. Giving them the credit where the credit is due. Do not discount them. Discounting has a lot to do with the ways that how you perceive the person ideas that share on the floor, right? And maybe the someone say, okay, I think this is the problem here. I didn't think the problem is there. Or he said, maybe there's something, no, I didn't think the problem you share is important enough. Or I think I can solve this problem. I don't think you can solve this problem. I don't think you have abilities to manage this thing properly. Practically, you have putting a lot of fences around him. What the person can do is simply stepping further to the back row of the meeting room. He's not going to share anything anymore. And individual roles is important. It's really part of psychological workplace psychology. It's about job description. How important job description is simply saying that it is a measurement that I want to achieve to know that I arrived there or not. If I'm not able to arrive to where I'm supposed to go, at least I can ask for support to get to where I want to go, right? And without clear boundary itself, there will be overlapping of responsibility itself. That create a problem of accountabilities. If there's something goes wrong, who is accountable? If some things go right, who should take the credit? Accountability. Therefore, job description define the boundaries of your performance. There's something that you can add on to their metering. Things are important for them to achieve. Nurturing workplace relationship, it will help to build trust. I think this is something that everyone is aware of. Also, relationship itself, it gives you a very safe boundaries to work with. However, there is a words that I use a lot in terms of working together. In terms of you and the reality, is the word called correlation. Now, you might have a job specification for someone to do this role. There are certain criteria required, and this person will try his best to meet the criteria itself. But that's not necessarily that he will meet exactly the same, because there will be differences in terms of his character or differences in terms of his opinion. I come down to the point, I look at the correlations. I come down to a point, I'm not only looking at the result, but I want to look at the reason. And that itself will help you to improve the trust with the individual or even with a group of people that you are working with, right? Knowing who they are. That will enhance the trust as well as the safety of the person with you. Now, clear communications, obviously, you go into bringing in the belonging, because I let you know these are important, so everybody is involved. So this is the belonging part of it. But also communication includes feedback and conflicts. These are also communication. That itself will help you to say, okay, things are not so right. Can you make some adjustment on this one? All these are ways and means to help you to get to where you want to go. And that is mentoring. Fostering leadership skills, this is everybody's responsibility. You want to have a psychologically safe environment, everyone must have a sense of respect, trust, and include in such a way there will be different opinion. I take in, I consider with an open mind, right? Work on professional and personal development is give all the support that you have for safety, mentoring, and belonging, the basic needs of the individual who is trying to secure. Is hunger for. Of course, create psychological safe environment will help you in terms of employee engagement. Now, that is the second part of it. This is the part that I use 15 minutes to go through, and there's a lot of contents in that. It may not necessarily remember all the things. I want you to remember 3 things. First thing is potential threats. Second thing is reward. Third thing is about these basic needs that we are trying to fulfill and we hunger for every single day of our life. Now I'm going to give you about 10 seconds. I just want you to look into this diagram that I have, the 3 circle. Do not analyze, do not think, simply look at that and let your mind draw in as an image into the back of your mind. And that is something that if you can only remember this thing, I hope this thing will help you to not only helping you to help others as a leader, but also understand who you are, what you are living for, what you are hunger, what is your hunger and what you are living for, what you're striving for. Now, few seconds to look into that. While you look into that, I just want to say one thing. The context of these 3 basic needs will always be there. The content will change from phase to phase, subject to where you are in terms of your life responsibility. Okay. Okay, these are the part 2 of the sharing. If you think that this is good, I can really go in to share a little bit about, just give you some suggestion about how to build up, how to nurture, or how to foster psychological safe in organizations and virtual workplace. And just type in 0 in the chat box so that I know that I'm okay to move on. If you have questions to ask, please ask towards the end. There's about 10 minutes time for you to ask questions. I will do my best to answer. Not that I have all the questions in the world, but I will do my best to answer. Okay, thank you for your attention. I see a number of 0 coming in. Now, I'm going to give you some suggestions of how you can foster psychological safety in organizations. It's something that I don't think is rocket science. I think something that most of you are aware of. Now, do not go into depth. Whatever we handle is about attitude, it's about behavior change, right? And that's the willingness of that. If you have a willingness to change your attitude, you will improve your behavior. You will use your behavior to influence your attitude itself. So this is all about changes and our willingness to do it. Now, first one, practice active listening and curiosity. Now, active listening is important for you to pay attention to the person, asking question and dig deep into it, or asking for feedback itself. Is simply tell the person that, look, I'm looking at you, I'm listening to you, you are important, I see you belong. I simply invite the belonging of you to my organization or to my position or to the place I'm working. It's simply that you belong here. Active listening to that. Your body language is telling that I'm listening to you, and please continue to tell your story. Respect, encourage, speak up, don't discount again. Discounting is something that we do a lot because it is easy to criticize than to be giving constructive ideas. So discounting is very easy. And do not ignore behaviors of fear. Now, all of us are born with only 2 fears in life, only 2. Now, all the fears that all of us have are all learned fear. They may or may not be real, right? So, and for everything that is new, everything that we are not sure, everything that we're testing my ego, or everything that actually affecting my social influence cell will give you the vulnerability. That is almost guaranteed. But the good news is this: embracing vulnerability is a technique that's learnable. I may not be able to share here because it's a time constraint. It is a learnable techniques that how you embrace vulnerability. Practically, it's learnable. Really, nothing. There's no rocket science at all. Right? Hopefully, one of these days we talk a bit more about this. Vulnerability is something that stops us and stuck us where we are, whether you like it or not. So if you can break it through, make a lot of difference in your life. Now, lead by example. Walk the talk. I said behavior, it should be a norm. As a leader, as like yourself is a leader, it should be a norm behavior to you that even you can ask the employee, ask question outwardly about me. Tell me something about me. Tell me how I perform. Acknowledge your mistake openly, and openly listening to opinions that are coming from the floor. Do not just reject them or do not discount them immediately. That's simply invite belonging. Apologize for the mistake that you make and demonstrating is that it's through the communication itself that you show empathy. That simply create a feel safe environment for the people around you, because they think that, oh, that leaders, I like it. I feel so comfortable with him because he's really listened to me. He's really bring me in as one of the team member. Embrace vulnerability. I think I touched on this. Willingness to improve or encourage for feedback. This is the way, one of the ways of doing it. But embrace vulnerability is something that we're all facing. Vulnerability is something that we face. We simply have to learn how to manage that. A lot of fear coming from unknown vulnerability. Right? The leader said, leaders owning their vulnerability is a mark of strength. Owning the vulnerability is really a mark of strength. A mark of strength. Fostering open conversations, giving attention, paying attention is very important. Even when in the meeting itself, you may ask, okay, anyone have anything to say or any suggestion at all? You may see the floor is quiet. Just give a bit of time that you may observe some of the individuals have trying to say something, but it's just don't dare to say, but that's okay. You take them offline and talk to them individually and give them back the autonomy to speak. Give them back, allow them to be authentic, and that's encourage them to come close to you. And look at things from different lenses and so encourage them to look at things differently and help them to do how to input. How to input have a lot to do with their ability to speak, right? So I see feedback as really will strengthen also will build upon your ideas as a process and empower from a place of privilege, knowing the person's efforts, empower the underrepresented colleagues self, showing your support in self, recognizing their accomplishment, give them the affirmations of what they have done, give the credit where the credit is due is very important. And even the host of meeting, go in there and support them and ask questions as a leader, anything that I can do to support you in terms of resources and help them to achieve what they want to achieve. That will build trust and they will build engagement in terms of workplace. Now, these are same diagrams as what I talked about. Autonomy is about safety, affiliation is about belonging, and achievement is about meddling. And it's a different terminology I use for different settings in my teaching. So I use the same diagram, but then different terminology. Now, with that in mind, I'm going to move into the last part of it. Is all about fostering psychological safety in the virtual workplace. Now, think about that. Currently, still about 30% of employees are working 50% at home, 50% working in the office itself. Now, there's something is the hybrid is talking about. Hybrid is something that you can stay here for a little bit longer. I'm not quite sure, maybe 2 more years. Now, we all know that virtual work meeting itself is very difficult to gauge the body language. Now, I've been teaching working from home for the last 2 years, and I know that there's a set of fear that came out in that itself. So what if I done this, my employee is not aware of that? What if I do that, the employee is not aware of that? So there's a lot of fear of missing out opportunity. There's a lot of fear of out of control because they're not there. What if something happens? What is going on? What's going to happen? Or being judged that, oh, my boss will think that I must be lazy. I don't spend enough time working because I'm working from home. He can't see me. And that is how you worry about being judged. And that's one of the phenomena about working from homes for the last 2 years. People tend to work longer hours at home, even longer than in the office, right? So it's simply fear of being judged. Now, as the office open up, 50% of employee can go back to work, set up one-to-one meeting with them itself. Go deeper into a conversation, talk about spending time with their relationship itself, because has been the last 2 years and working from home itself, they create a lot of gaps in between the relationship. And this is the time to catch up, right? And give them a lot of free ways to get feedback and give them opportunities to say what they want to say. However, there's one thing I want to suggest is the way that how we respond to feedback, especially as on the text messages itself. We tend to go very short, working from home. So try not to do that, because the shorter you go, the harder the person will read that, to read the emotion out of it, to read your feeling, to read your thought out of it. And I tend to do this. I should stretch this the sentence a bit longer using a much simpler English. Also, that itself for the person to read into your emotion. So say longer sentence will help to show your gracefulness to the person who read your message. Also cover time for them. It's about giving attention to individual when they have a time to come together itself. Put everybody under the umbrella of psychological safety. And then you feel individuals are so comfortable with the team, feel so safe itself, they can even put their feet up on the table. And that is about psychological safety in the virtual itself. Now, the last one, create communication channel. All team members, give them the communication system that are available for them and help them to give them the abilities to communicate with one another. Now, I think this is, I think all of us are quite familiar with it now. The only one suggestion that I want to give to you is this. 2019, I read a research that done in 2018, 1 year before that. It talking about conversations through the phone, through voice call itself. Now, voice itself carry emotional warmth, of which you can look into the screens and talk to the person over the screens and look at the person through the screen, also trying to hear the person through the screen itself. They are multitasking on that one. Emotional voice call itself give you the emotional warmth of what the person emotion is, and the deep breath that he takes, the volumes of the tone, the voice of the tone, and the gaps, the pause between the sentence itself. All these are emotional messages that you can actually look at it when you use the voice phone, use a voice call. So I encourage people to say, okay, it's so easy to send a text messages, but trying to use voice, pick up a phone and call the person. And sometimes you're wondering, what is the person thinking? Sometimes you're wondering, what am I going to do next? Allow that silent gap in between. That is okay, because that is part of vulnerabilities of building up relationship. Okay, make yourself vulnerable, telling people that I'm as vulnerable as you are. Nothing actually new. Oh, I'm just as vulnerable as you are, and encourage them to share their ideas, because vulnerability simply encourage to break through that, and that give you the courage to share the idea. That is really ways of breaking into vulnerability. This is a quick. Vulnerability is simply an invisible vibrating wall that of fear that in your heart. Be brave, face it, and take courage and walk it through. As simple as just take a chance and walk it through, and then realize that that vulnerability is not really there. Or when I start giving attention to the thing. Okay, now this is the end of my sessions, end of my talk, and I'm going to give time for you to answer some of the questions, and also for you to give us a feedback on these sessions that lets us know what are the topics that you want to hear from us, or what are the topics that you're interested in, or give me the feedback as individual. And because this is part of vulnerability, I want to continue learning, and I want to pick up things that I miss out, and I can learn more as an individual. Okay, so allow yourself a bit of time to give me the feedback. And before we look into a question, I just want to give you a bit of something that's simple to take away with. Now, this is, I'm focusing on individual itself, or even your manager, you can look at that as well. Now, if you are struggling with psychological safety, I want you to look at this ABC and ask yourself a question. Is it my abilities to express in terms of language I use, or in terms of knowledge I have, in the technical knowledge I have, or in terms about the technical knowledge I have about the solution that I have? All these are abilities. Do you have the ability to express to start with? Ask yourself a question. Second thing is about behavior of fear. Okay, I have observed a lot. I have observed a lot of so-called very negative consequence of asking question and the feedback, but find out yourself, what is the behavior of fear that you have? Rejection? And how can I deal with it? Or can I talk to someone about it? Or conducive environment to speak? And it's known that when every time you look at the meeting room, everybody's just all jumping on top of one another and screaming and shouting over each other, the environment is so conducive. What can I do about it? Can I talk to a manager, suggest some ideas to make a difference? Or you still struggle with it personally, you have no one to talk to? May I suggest you to make use of facilities through Advantage Employee Assistance Program, and talk to one of our counselors that I'm quite sure they will walk you through this so-called basic psychological safety ABC as well. Okay, so these are the things that I want to share. I will look into the questions.
Thank you so much, Kok Hwa, for the insightful sharing and the informative actually sharing. We are going to go into a time of Q&A very quickly. We will commence soon. Right now, we're just giving you guys 1 more minute. Complete up the survey form so that we can actually get in touch with you. And just once again, that we actually do these kind of talks, right? Wellness related talks, psychology, workplace psychology talks, right? Almost every last Friday of the month. So you can look forward to that. Do get involved in our community as well. Once again, thank you for joining. We will end exactly at 5. What we can do right now is that you guys can have questions. You guys can type in your questions in the chat box. Wow, I see question coming already. Thank you, Rosalind, for the question. You guys can keep the questions coming. We may not have time to answer all questions. We will actually answer questions that will be possibly more in an ambiguous manner. So Kok Hwa, you can actually select the kind of questions that you may want to answer also. And then eventually you can just answer it here. If you guys would like to actually speak up also, do feel free, but we shall answer the questions in the chat first. And then, yeah, I'll just curate some questions first. So
Okay, the first question coming quite unique. I think it happens to me many, many times also in the ways that how it work. And before you finish the sentence, the boss will say, well, I know. There are things like that. Okay, as an individual for myself, I just coming for myself. If I think that the ways that I say things, it may not be relevant enough for him to pick it up, that's okay. But if I think that he has to know what is going on, you can always, one thing I did, I always say, excuse me, let me finish my sentence, please. As polite as possible, and then you bring it across. This is how you test your vulnerability. You simply had to know that, okay, he's my boss. I'm not able to, I need to be very careful to talk to him. You can actually politely move across there, because if it can do to you, it can do to many people. I'm quite sure many people will actually affecting by it. This is considered, to me, because it's a hierarchy fear. It's simply a hierarchy fear because, oh, he's my boss. I just need to accept that one. So hierarchy fear is always there and never go away with it. Same thing like you stand there, you're queuing up and the big shot walk past you, you just see that there's a big wind blowing across you. Hierarchy fear is always there. So it is really about the ways of how you want to express yourself, whether it is safe or not. Maybe he's not aware of his behavior. So therefore you can say, can I finish my sentence, or can I finish what I say? And before you answer, right? These some things that I will do it. I will do it that way. Or I even stand up and say, can I finish my work? What I say, so I think I say it quite often as well. Okay, so something that you can do.
Thank you, Kok Hwa. Yeah, as the other questions are coming in, yes, those who haven't finished up the survey form, do feel free to do so. I really like the question, Rosalind, that you pitched towards Kok Hwa. I do believe that there is a situation whereby workplace culture is, of course, needed to be emphasized, and positive and receptive culture would be that kind of solution that your company can work towards too as well. And then yes, if you guys are interested in any EAP or any employee well-being program, right, like Kok Hwa mentioned, yeah, do up the survey and actually get involved with us. If your company HR would like to get involved, yeah, feel free. We can do the consultation that way as well. So we have 10 more minutes. Questions, can keep them coming in. If you want to use the microphone function, just feel free to do so. There is one question that came in. Kok Hwa, you can see. Parallel.
Okay. How can we encourage teammates to speak and identify their fear? Now, this is something that you cannot say, okay, now we have a meeting, everyone sit down there and let me know what is going on, let me know your fear. It will not. You have to go down to a very personal level, because every one of us trying to hide the dirty laundries that we have psychologically, because there's an image we have to uphold. So you need to go down to a level of knowing the person and very authentically, starting with the emotion first. Always start with the emotion first. I realize that you actually see that you're struggling with this. Start with that. And may I know what is that? However, bear in mind that all that we can all we discuss about is out of my concern. I simply want to see what I can do to help you through. Start with that. It has to have a personal level, because you cannot open up forums or so-called a town hall to talk about this thing. There's no such thing that way, right? And the person is really struggling too, that you're not able to answer. Please get engaged with EAP. EAP is really wonderful, especially the service for the counselor. I hope that's helped to you, Corinne.
Yeah. Dennis has a question also. Brooke also has a question. Or now the questions are all coming in. We can go with Dennis' question, Kok Hwa. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the things that we do. I realize that as well, especially when working for a families, so-called organizations. I studies about policy of organizations. When the family business is there's a policy. The policy that on the author is really a goals of the organizations that hardly change. Now, it really depends on how comfortable of you speaking up to them, right? When you talk to individuals, you need to go in with the authenticity that, look, I need for the improvement of the organizations, and this is what I can share with you. And you don't go in with your negative concept that are going there, they will kick me out and they won't listen to you. Try it first. Now, if you really do not take on your ideas and your suggestion and you do not feel comfortable about it, I wouldn't suggest that you quit, but you think that you want to quit as well, and that's is okay, because if the place is a workplace that affects you emotionally or social emotionally, there's a place that you have to pay attention to, because emotion and psychological mental health will affect your mental health. Mental health will affect the physiological condition of your body, which is not good, right? So you have a right to choose it and then talk to them and things like that. If you think that it's not going anywhere at all, it's okay for you to think that I think I make a move itself, right? And make a move with gracefulness, make a move itself. Do you know that leaving a job is itself is a psychotherapy itself? It's itself is a healing, right? So there's something that you need to go plan properly and talk to someone that you can trust on, and plan a career exit or career planning forward itself. Everything you do that reduce the vulnerability is simply going to planning and executing the task that will help you to reduce the discomfort and give you the confidence to move on. That's something that I can suggest. There's nothing wrong with that. And things that are not conducive enough for you, that are affecting you mentally or emotionally, you can raise it up to talk about it. If there's not getting anywhere, you can make a decision what you should do next. Do it gracefully, knowing that there will be vulnerability. There will be fear of moving out. But do it properly, plan properly, it will reduce the vulnerability of doing that. Okay, I hope this helped. I'm not quite sure the name of the person just now. Dennis or something like that.
Dennis, yep, Dennis. Thank you, Kok Hwa. We have time for another 2 more questions. The second last question will be from Brooke. Can you recommend strategies on how to encourage HR to take action on the feedback from staff and clients? I find that some staff lose confidence in management because their feedback leads to nothing changing.
Okay, it's a good question about feedback, right? A lot of times that feedback as good as not going anywhere, or not necessary that, like I say, in many occasions, I suggest that if there's a suggestion box that you mean it, you really have to work on it. If it's not, don't put a suggestion box inside. However, feedback is a mechanism that all organizations should have, because if you want to grow, you need to have a feedback facilities in there. Now, what kind of recommended strategy that you have is really about talking to the HR. There's really no rocket science. Okay, now I'm going to do this, do that. Picked up a case yourself, looking into the case itself, and these are real facts and potential issue that we are facing at the moment, and bring that facts to the HR and talk about this thing, right? You need to go in there with facts and with the evidence that you have, and not hearsay, someone talking out there, someone say, no, going in there with facts, right? Going in the facts and sit down there and talk to them at all. Nothing works unless you go in with facts, because management only looking at facts. Hearsay does not fly a lot of space, right? So you need to go in there with evidence and things like that. Put them down on a piece of paper. Often that I say people that come around to me and do a lot of complaints, I say, okay, now can you just put down on a piece of paper? Next thing the person walk away with it. Because you need to do it properly by putting down paper. One, at least you have a record of what is going on. Two, at least you have a justification that you have done your best for the organization. Three, you can actually bring the whole stack of file to see the boss of the HR. You can actually do that, because these are something that an organization would want to grow, that your authenticity had to be there, your contribution had to be there, because you have the three basic need to meet. One of them is really about things that are important for you. Things that are important to you, that's including your contribution, and hope that three basic needs actually encourage you. You have that because there's something that's in there, something that is not, oh, I do not know that. No, it's in you that you can actually do it. So I help you, encourage you to do that. Always remember this in any management cell, trying to bring in facts, not what hearsay. And there's something that I suggest you do. Start with that, and you still struggle with it, and really can openly talk to me or talk to someone in Adventist itself. I hope Brooks, that help you to start something.
Yep, thanks, Kok Hwa. Brooke, we hope that Kok Hwa actually answered to his best ability to your question. Thank you for answering that. Thank you for answering, Kok Hwa. Last question for today is from Tun. I'm currently working for MNC. All right, I hear directly from other departments that they are having difficulties with hierarchy power. Their boss will try not to listen and only look at numbers, and quite a lot of time use curse words or even demotivate them by belittling them. Yeah, it has been continuing for quite a while, which leads to people leaving. As I am from other department, how can I help them?
Okay, you're from other department, but you're in the same company, right? And that is something that you realize, okay, I'm from different department, but the boss on that one. One of the things that obviously, if you have a chance to talk to you, there's always a hierarchy issue in the organization. That's all about the structure in the organization itself. Now, even though you're from different departments itself, certain things that I suggest that one thing you do is you approach your boss to start with, saying that this is what you see and this is how the thing is happening on that one, and ask your boss what can he do about it, because it is good for departmental manager or departmental manager talk to the other departmental manager, right? For you to go up there, if if your manager say no, nothing we can do and things like that, and you still feel that there's urge, I need to do something about it, then you can actually walk across the next department, talk to the people there, and getting the facts right and what is going on, and perhaps making some suggestion that they encourage them to take on their role and be who they are, because they are struggling with it, and they can be who they are, and help them to motivate them, encourage them to fulfill the missing part of the needs that they're trying to fulfill, because they're struggling, because they feel threatening in the department they're in, because all the needs that they want to fulfill is all being threatened. Help them use the same principles that I just shared with you. Go in there, talk about that. Look, you feel unsafe here because of this. If you give them the car explanation, encourage them to take action. Now, it say it's going to be an issue. If you're going to have an opportunity, this will be a town hall meeting and stuff like that. Then you can open up to the top management, say, okay, this is how I see it. And if there's a potential thing, what are you going to do about it? It's simply switch on the light for them to see the white elephant in the room. Just switch on the light. You may not necessarily be the ones to do something about it, but you should switch on the light for them to look at the white elephants in the room itself. So there are many things that you can do, but knowing that there will be some structural things that you need to do it, because it's management, you need to get the facts right. You need to go in there and talk to the individual, get the facts right, and help them to fulfill what they want to fulfill in terms of meeting their basic needs, and encourage them to move on to talk to their boss. If it's not, then you wait for the opportunity for town hall. If it's not, then you can't do much about it, because there's always a hierarchy things in the organization itself. Unless you take the courage itself, you just go straight up to the MD or whatever is on the regional director, and then you need to carry a lot of weight for you, a lot of facts for you to talk about that. And of course, you can do that if you have courage enough, you have sufficient information that with you, the relevant information or facts with you, you can actually do that as well. And that takes a lot of courage to get out of your get out of your comfortable, get out of comfort area itself. Okay, it's a lot of things, and obviously I hope I can spend more time to go a bit more detail on that one. But for time constraint, there is outlines, some sort of framework that you may want to consider about it. I hope Tums to give you the ideas of that.
Thank you so much, Kok Hwa. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Once again, feel free to connect to Kok Hwa on LinkedIn as well. If you're interested in workplace psychology, connect to myself, connect to the LinkedIn page of Adventist Wellness. We will eventually reach out back to you should you be interested in EAP. The form is right there. Those who have missed the, the front part of the insightful and informative sharing by Kok Hwa, do not worry. We actually will email you the recording. We will upload it on YouTube as well, so that you can share with other friends as well. Once again, thank you for setting aside 1 hour of your time on a Friday afternoon. We hope to actually keep in touch, and we hope to actually see you guys in the future as well. So other than that, thank you so much for joining. Any last questions, just feel free to bump us up on LinkedIn, bump us up on email and stuff like that. Yeah. And do the form as well. Yeah. So thank you so much, guys.